The rain lashed like knives, the car shuddered to a stop, and in the flicker of the dying headlights, I saw the moment my life would split into before and after. Craig's hand brushed mine as he passed the whiskey flask, his wedding ring glinting in the firelight. "You're not just my employee, Angela," he said, voice rough. "You're the only person who sees me." The storm raged outside. The guilt raged louder. Thank you. To every soul subscribing and watching this channel, you're why I can share stories that claw their way out of the dark. If you're new here, hit that button. It's the oxygen keeping this flame alive. Now let's unravel this night stitch by stitch. Comment below. Would you have seen the red flags? I am Angela Miller, 34, divorced and a senior marketing strategist at Hartford & Lowe. The kind of woman who laughs too loud at her boss jokes and tells herself it's just survival. Craig Donovan, 47, CEO, father of 2, with a laugh like gravel and a reputation for crushing competitors, and, I would learn, boundaries. It started with an urgent pitch meeting at 8 p.m. Craig's office reeked of bourbon and ambition. "The client wants edgier," he said, pacing. "Think dangerous." I scribbled notes, ignoring how his sleeves were rolled past his tattoos. Outside, thunder growled. By 10 p.m., we were in his Jeep, windshield wipers drowning his apology. "Should have rescheduled," he muttered. The woods swallowed the road whole. Then, pop. The tire blew with a sound like a gunshot. We stood in the downpour. Phones useless. "There's a lodge," Craig said. "My uncle used to own it." The path was a sludge of mud and pine needles. My heels snapped. He steadied me, grip firm. "Lean on me." I did. The lodge loomed, a relic with creaking shutters. Inside, dust choked the air. Craig built a fire while I riffled through drawers. "Jackpot," I said, holding up a bottle of whiskey. He smirked. "Think this is how horror movies start?" We sat on a moth-eaten couch, shoes off, sleeves rolled higher. He talked about his daughter's ballet recital. I admitted I ate cereal for dinner most nights. The fire crackled. The whiskey burned. "You're different at work," I said. "So are you," he replied. "Tough. But your eyes, they're sad." My throat tightened. The wind howled. A branch shattered a window upstairs. We jumped. His hand landed on my knee. "Sorry," he said, but didn't move it. The crash of the window pane shattered the fragile calm. Craig's hand stayed on my knee, warm and heavy, as rain slashed through the broken glass upstairs. Wind screamed down the hallway, and the fire spat embers onto the rug. He didn't move. Neither did I. "We should." "Check that," he said finally, voice low. But his thumb traced a slow arc over my jeans. I stood too fast, nearly tripping on the rug. "I will go." The stairs groaned like living things. Upstairs, the hallway was a tomb, cold, dark, smelling of mildew. The broken window let in a sliver of moonlight, glinting on shards of glass. I knelt to sweep them into a pile with my hands, my breath visible in the icy air. "Need help?" Craig's voice came from the doorway. He leaned against the frame, sleeves rolled to his elbows, firelight from below gilding the edges of his silhouette. "I've got it," I said, too sharp. He crouched beside me anyway, our shoulders brushing as we gathered glass. "You're shivering." Before I could protest, he shrugged off his suit jacket and draped it over me. It smelled like cedar and his cologne. Back downstairs, the fire had dwindled. Craig tossed another log onto the flames. "So," he said, staring into the sparks, "why did your marriage really end?" The question hung in the air, sharp as the glass we had just cleared. "He cheated," I said flatly. "Twice. Once with his assistant, once with a stranger at a bar." The whiskey had loosened my tongue. "You?" He swirled the bottle, jaw tight. "Lynn, my wife. We haven't slept in the same bed in 3 years. She's cold." Everything's a transaction. He laughed, bitter. Hell, she probably thinks I am here to close a deal. The word deal landed like a grenade. Silence stretched. The fire popped. I am sorry, he said suddenly. That was inappropriate. It's fine. It's not fine. He leaned back on the couch, stretching his arm along the cushions behind me. You ever feel like you're just playing a role? Even when you're alone. I thought of my empty apartment, the microwave dinners, the way I had started talking to my plants. Every damn day. His eyes locked onto mine. You're the only one at the office who doesn't treat me like a spreadsheet. The air thickened. His fingertips grazed my shoulder. Craig. I know. He cut in, voice ragged. I know. But he didn't pull away. The storm crescendoed outside. A tree branch scraped the roof like fingernails. When I am with you, he said slowly, I remember what it's like to breathe. My chest ached. This man, the one who had reduced interns to tears during board meetings, was peeling himself open, raw and trembling. We can't, I whispered. I know. His hand cupped my cheek anyway. The kiss was slow, electric, a fuse lit. His other arm pulled me against him, and for one dizzying moment, I forgot about Lynn, about the job, about the storm. Then he froze. Shit. He jerked back, raking a hand through his hair. I am, Christ, Angela, I am sorry. I shouldn't. I stood, his jacket slipping to the floor. You're married. And you're the only good thing left in my life. The words tore out of him, loud enough to startle us both. The admission hung between us, poisonous and true. Downstairs, the front door creaked open. The door creaked open, and a gust of wind hurled rain into the lodge. A figure stepped inside, hooded and dripping, flashlight beams slicing through the dark. My pulse thundered. Lynn? A cop? But the voice that followed was unfamiliar. Anyone here? A man's voice, weathered and wary. Craig stood, blocking me from view. Who's asking? The flashlight lowered, revealing a middle-aged man in a soaked park ranger's jacket. Jesse Cobb. I patrol these woods. Saw the car off the road. His eyes narrowed. You two okay? Fine, Craig said, too quickly. Tire blew. We're waiting out the storm. Jess's gaze swept the room. The whiskey bottle, Craig's rumpled shirt, my flushed cheeks. Lodge is private property. My uncle owned it, Craig countered. Martin Donovan. Jesse stiffened. Martin's been dead 6 years. A beat. You his nephew? The hotshot from Chicago? He didn't hide the disdain. Heard you sold the place to developers. Craig's jaw twitched. It's complicated. Sure is. Jess's flashlight lingered on the broken glass upstairs. Storm will pass by dawn. Roads will be flooded, though. He tossed a walkie-talkie onto the table. Channel 9 if you get desperate. The door slammed behind him. Silence rushed back in, heavier now. Craig turned to me, eyes dark. Hell, call the sheriff. Or the press. Shit. You didn't tell me you sold the lodge, I said, crossing my arms. Would it have mattered? The question hung, sharp. He stepped closer. Stay back, I warned. Angela, you kissed me. Then some stranger walks in, and suddenly I am your dirty secret? You are my secret. He snapped. And I am yours. Don't pretend you didn't want it. The words stung, because they were true. He reached for me. I shoved him. He grabbed my wrists. We froze, chests heaving, his grip bruising. Let go, I whispered. He did. I stumbled toward the fire, tears blurring the flames. I swore I would never be her, the other woman. And now? Craig's hands hovered above my shoulders, not touching. I am leaving Lynn. I mean it. This. Us. It's not just some fling. I laughed, jagged. You'll change your mind. I bought an apartment last week, he said quietly. 2 bedrooms. One for Ellie and Sam when they visit. I turned. His face was raw, pleading. You think apartment fixes this? No, he said. But it's a start. The storm roared. The fire spat. He cupped my face, thumb wiping a tear. Tell me to stop. I didn't. This kiss wasn't gentle. It was hunger and anger and 3 years of stifled want. His hands tangled in my hair, mine clawed at his shirt. We fell onto the couch, a tangle of limbs and breathless curses. Then his phone buzzed. Once. Twice. Relentless. He ignored it, lips trailing my neck. Craig. Don't. The phone stopped. Mine rang. Unknown number. I sat up, shirt half unbuttoned, and answered. Angela Miller? A woman's voice. Yes? This is St. Mary's Hospital. Your mother has had a stroke. The drive to St. Mary's was a blur of rain and neon lights. Craig insisted on coming. You're in no state to drive, he said, hands white-knuckling the wheel. I didn't argue. My mind ricocheted between guilt. Did I cause this? And dread. How much did that hospital call here? Mom lay in ICU, frail beneath tubes and monitors. Her left eyelid drooped, her speech slurred. Angel, she rasped, gripping my hand. I crumpled. Craig lingered in the doorway, a ghost. Ms. Miller? A nurse eyed him. Family only. He left without a word. 3 days later, I returned to work. The office buzzed, too buzzed. Colleagues clammed up as I passed. My inbox had 47 unread emails. The subject line of the newest one froze me. Emergency meeting. HR, 10 a.m. Craig's office was empty. He's on leave, whispered Sharon from accounting, avoiding my eyes. The HR director, Linda, sat stiff-backed, a folder between us. Ms. Miller, we've received. Concerns about your relationship with Mr. Donovan. My throat closed. What concerns? She slid a photo across the table. Craig and me, drenched, entering the lodge. Then a screenshot of his texts sent that night. I can't stop thinking about you. His wife found them, Linda said. She forwarded everything to the board. The suspension was pending investigation. I numbly packed my desk. Craig called 7 times. I sent him to voicemail. Mom's condition worsened. Insurance wouldn't cover the new rehab facility. My savings were draining fast. Then the voicemail. Angela, it's Lynn. Her voice was steel. Meet me now. Or I sue you for alienation of affection. We sat in a diner off Route 9, vinyl seats sticky with syrup. Lynn Donovan was all sharp edges, pixie cut, diamond studs, a Prada bag tossed carelessly beside her. How long? She said. It's not what you think. She laughed, brittle. You're the third, Angela. The third little workplace diversion. But you. She leaned in. You he kept. Texts. Gifts. That apartment. I slid down my spine. Apartment? Her smile turned venomous. 2-bedroom on Elm. Leased last month. Under your name. My stomach dropped. What? She tossed a lease agreement on the table. Tenant. Angela Miller. Co-signer. Craig Donovan. He's been funneling company funds, she said. And you're his paper trail. The police came the next morning. The police arrested Craig, not me. Turns out, Lynn had orchestrated the entire confrontation, recording my stunned silence at the diner, handing over forged documents to the DA. But the lease was real. Craig had signed my name, replicating my handwriting from office forms. To protect us, he would later claim. The judge called it fraud. I spent 6 weeks in limbo, Cleared of charges but branded the homewrecker of Hartford and Low. Mom's rehab bills piled up. I sold my car, then my wedding ring, then my dignity, taking a job at a 24-hour diner where the coffee stains hid my tears. The support group started accidentally. A woman named Rosa recognized me from the news, sliding into my booth during a night shift. "He did the same to me," she said, pushing a photo of her Craig, a dentist with the same hollow charm. We talked until sunrise. By month's end, 8 women crowded that booth every Thursday, swapping stories like battle plans. We called ourselves the Phoenix Collective. Craig's trial made headlines. Disgraced CEO faces 10 years. Lynn divorced him, took the kids, the lake house, his vintage Porsche. I refused to testify. He found me anyway, outside the diner one rainy dawn. "Angela." He looked hollow, a suit 2 sizes too big. "I am sorry." I kept walking. He grabbed my arm. "I loved you." I turned, fury sharpening my tongue. "You loved the lie, the escape. I was just the closest exit." His hand fell. "I am losing everything." "Good." Mom learned to walk again. I learned to sleep through the night. The Phoenix Collective grew, 20 women, then 50. We launched a podcast. Listeners wrote in, "Your story's mine." One night, Rosa handed me a letter from Craig. I burned it unopened. Hartford and Low settled my wrongful termination suit quietly. The money paid for Mom's care and a tiny bookstore downtown. The Phoenix Collective meets there every Thursday between the self-help shelves and the poetry section. Last week, a man lingered after closing, salt and pepper hair, a shy smile. "Your memoir section is lacking," he joked, holding up my dog-eared copy of Rising Strong. I laughed. For the first time in years, it wasn't forced. The storm still haunts me, but now I am the one who lights the fire. To my warriors, if this story clawed at your ribs, comment below. How would you have rewritten Angela's ending? Like, share, and subscribe. It fuels our fight to tell truths that matter. To every Phoenix rising, you are not alone.